Welcome to episode 53 of Run It Straight, where we answer your questions about how to get better at rugby league. We don't sidestep the difficult topics, but rather give direct, straight up answers. In essence, we run it straight. All right, let's jump straight in. First question. How do I improve my diet as an 18-year-old wing centre because I have a fast metabolism? I currently weigh 81 to 82 kilos. First, I would like to know your height because that is really relevant when it comes to that. Do you want to jump in first and see what you got, Cal?
Yeah, so we've had this come up plenty of times in the academy. One of the main people that we always refer to is Josh, Coach Josh now. We had him over 10,000 calories because he also had quite a fast metabolism.
Yep, he was very skinny and he had a very fast metabolism.
He was, to be generous, a stick, wasn't he? And now he's 90 kilos, very lean. But regardless, he had to put in plenty of calories. He had to down plenty of calories any way he could to get those 10,000 calories in. And not to say that you have to go straight to 10,000 calories. We always want you to start by tracking your food and tracking your weight every single day.
Yeah, so number one, you need to track your food, just like Cal said. We need to track your food. Use, if you haven't got someone taking your skin folds and whatnot, use the scales as a metric, okay? So track your food every day, weigh yourself first thing in the morning, get up, go to the bathroom, whatever, strip down, hop on the scales, get your phone and just, in the notes, just write the date and then write the weight that you're on.
Yep.
Sorry, you keep going. Anything else?
So track that for a week, see what happens with your weight. If you notice your weight start to drop, you can add anywhere between 250 to 500 calories. If it's dropped a lot, you can probably add even more than that. If it stayed the same, you're maintaining, you can probably still add even more to that. But if you feel like you're gaining weight even at a rapid rate, you could probably slow it down because majority of that weight's going to be body fat, excess water, and things like that. So you want to be looking at gaining weight at somewhere between 0.2 and maybe 0.5 kilos a week. Okay, so you've got to start tracking your food. We have lots of players who come to us and say, I'm eating heaps, bro. And heaps isn't a number. We need an actual number. If you track and say, let's say you hit 3,000 calories a day, just for argument's sake. You do that for 7 days, you're weighing yourself over 7 days, you average what the scale has told you over those 7 days. If it doesn't budge, add 200, 300, 400 calories to it. Do that for another week. The scale starts to move up, perfect. One thing you need to be careful of is just because it's starting to work, it doesn't mean that A, you stop tracking, you need to keep tracking. Secondly, what often happens is, it's working for me. I don't need to keep weighing anymore. I'll just keep eating 3,000 or 3,300 calories. Your metabolism will actually speed up when you continue to eat more food. So 3,300 might work for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and then you'll plateau off and you'll stop gaining weight. In which case, then you might need to go to 36 or 3,700. And then that'll work for a period of time, then that'll plateau off. And then you need to keep, and the same thing for anyone who's looking to lose weight, you might be in a deficit, but your metabolic rate will actually slow down. And once you stop losing weight, then you've got to create more space, okay? So the big thing is you need to be tracking. You've got to be tracking the food that's going in, you've got to be tracking your weight. And obviously we didn't mention it there, but please lift weights. 3 to 4 days a week, otherwise you'll just get fat. And nobody wants a fat winger. Yes. One other thing with that, make sure your protein's at 2 grams per kilo as well. We didn't mention that either.
So you're 81, 82 kilos, so about 160 grams of protein you want to be getting in per day. And again, track it. Once you start tracking, people are, oftentimes one of the biggest things that happens is the educational process of people seeing what's in their food and they think they're eating a lot and then they track it and then they don't. And we see vice versa of that when people are trying to lose weight. Now I'm eating healthy, I'm only eating natural, foods, nothing processed, and they're smashing handfuls of almonds and this and that, and they're having honey and they're having all of these things that are that natural foods, right? But they're just loaded with calories. Okay, so it's not until you start tracking that you'll start to become aware of what's in your food. Then you can make better decisions and better choices, and by tracking that food, make it match the calories that you want to be having.
Exactly.
Anything else? I think that's pretty much it.
That was pretty much it. Start eating. Start eating and tracking.
Start eating and tracking. All right, next question. Hi, I'm 16, 171 centimeters and 86 kilos. How do I stop getting bumped off and develop my follow through at the tackle? So I'm assuming he's defensively is an issue here. All right, very quickly. this is something useful for anyone else if you're asking this question in the future, but it's also useful for you because you need to look at why you're missing the tackles. Are you going high and missing? Are you going low and falling off tackles? Are they running through you? Are they running around you? Are you getting stepped? Are you getting beaten on your inside shoulder or your outside shoulder, or is it both? Are you defending, in the middle? Are you on the wing? Are you in an edge like a second rower or a centre, half, 5'8"? All of those things are going to have a bearing on what sort of the recommendations that we're going to have for how you can improve your defence.
Yep.
Now, something that I'll say when it comes to your tackle technique, basics of every tackle apply, but the biggest issue that we usually see is players not getting into range. Okay, so now you might not get into, and when we say range, imagine you've got the player and you've got like a hula hoop around them. If you don't get your lead leg into that hula hoop, you're going to be making a weak tackle, yeah?
100%.
So you've got to get into range. 100%. Now, why I was asking those other questions earlier on is you might be right up line to get into range, and then someone puts some footwork and they step you, and now your lead leg that you're trying to, the same leg, same shoulder you're trying to make contact with is now too far away from them. So then it's not so much the when you're getting close to make the contact, it's what you're doing beforehand to put yourself in a good position. This is why I said it can be a little bit complicated. Are you getting palmed off? Again, you might be going too high, but I doubt that leg is where it needs to be. It's rare that you're going to get your lead leg in tight and have enough force behind you that they're going to be able to push you off. That's usually 100%. The biggest issue that we see. Second biggest issue is players losing their feet. You might get that leg within that range, like that hula hoop we said, but then what happens is as soon as you make contact, half the players, we coach this all the time, you just drop to your knees.
Fall. Yeah.
You just fall.
Yeah.
And all of the power goes out and you're just sitting there and you might hang onto a leg and get dragged along, or the bloke's just standing there waiting and he'll get an offload. It's not an effective tackle. You can't lose your feet. Once you make contact, you need to keep driving. Anything else?
That's probably one of the biggest things. I find initiating and having a good first contact, so hitting the hard, driving through with your shoulder, keeping your feet, as Joe's just said, all help later on in the tackle. Right, so if you have a good first contact, if you have good footwork leading into the tackle, it makes the wrestle, it makes grabbing an underhook that much easier because you've stopped the bloke's momentum running at you. Right now in rugby league, there's a bit of a problem. Like it happens with me and when I play, it happens with a lot of NRL players when they play. They kind of lose sight of initiating that first contact and dipping and driving and having real good, solid first contact. And they worry about the wrestle and taking them down and slowing the ruck down. But all that becomes obsolete if you don't get your footwork right, if you don't get your contact point right, if you're too far away, if you lose your legs. All the wrestling, all the grappling and everything like that, winning the ruck, means nothing if you can't make the tackle.
They'll push you off, they'll run through.
Exactly.
So you've got to get it to the point where you're hitting them hard enough that you're stopping their momentum and you're not bouncing off. Then you can do all the other stuff. All of that other stuff and the underhooks, overhooks is all useful, but it does all for nothing if you don't close into range, if you're too far away when you try to initiate the tackle.
The shot, exactly.
Now, that was the main thing.
Yeah.
How do I stop getting bumped off and develop my follow through at the tackle? Look, other than that, the same things that we always say is, get stronger. Now, like I said, why are you missing the tackle? You've said 171 centimetres and 86 kilos. I don't know what position you're playing. Sometimes if you're a little bit slow, you're going to get beaten with footwork, and so you need to know that ahead of time, and you've got to put a player on the shoulder. Sometimes we have guys who, their contact, getting their foot in range is actually okay when they line the player up properly, but if you've got a player and you're running straight up at him, he can step to the left, he can step to the right, he can do a two-step and go boom, boom, and straight away that's putting you out of range. Whereas if you put him on a shoulder, if you come on the outside jamming in, he can only really run one way because his body is too far away. He's not going to be able to step off his left foot and get all the way to your other side. So it gives him one avenue with which to run, so you're less likely to get beaten with footwork. So those are the other things that you've got to look at. But again, like I was saying, if your body fat's too high and you're out of shape, you're not going to be able to change your footwork. So maybe, again, we don't have those details in here. You've got to look at, is your body fat too high? Is that contributing to it? Are you getting gassed? So you're just moving up off the line without thinking, where's your position? Where's his position? These are all things that factor into it. So again, give us a little bit more detail. You're at 16s. you should be lifting weights by this point. Yep. Are you lifting weights or are you not? If you're coming up against players that are, and you're just not strong, you're not strong through your legs, you're not strong through your core, you might get close enough, but they'll just might run straight through you because they could particularly, I mean, if we've got guys that are that age, a ref, a few others, and who are lifting, and if you're not lifting anything and you come up against him, he'll run over you every single time. So that can play into it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, last question. I just got dropped from Mal Meninga Cup training squad in the final cut. What should I do to bounce back? Get better.
Yeah.
For anyone from New South Wales who doesn't know, Mal Meninga is like SG Ball, but up in Queensland. So my suggestions here would be to start with your easy pickings at the start is start with your physicality. He didn't say what position he was, did he?
No.
Start with your physicality. We've got numbers that we use. So bench press, upper body push strength, you want to be lifting 1.2 times your body weight. So, if you were 100 kilos, you want to be able to bench 120. 3 RM back squat of 1.48 times your body weight. So you should be able to squat 145, 150 for 3 reps.
Yep.
Chin up 1.3 times your body weight. Bronco, if you're a forward, which we were assuming, you want to be getting it under 515, under 510, somewhere like that for a middle is going to be a pretty decent number. That would be my first starting point is if you're not ticking all of those off, go to work on ticking all of those off. They can take time to build up so that this time next year, you're in a position you're hitting all of those numbers are sorted. You want to jump in?
Yeah, that's all the physical side of things. Skill work, you obviously do need to get better. If you have gotten dropped, there's obviously a period, there's an aspect of the game you need to work on. Mm-hmm. Find that out from the coach. Get specific. What is it? Is it my defense? Is it my footwork? Is it my carries? Is it my intent to carry? Is it my passing? Is it something like that? Something that you need to work on. Then you go away and you work on that as best as you can, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to touch on is the headspace.
Yeah.
The headspace. Long story short, I got cut from Harold Matts in under 16s. And then I made SG Ball the year later. And a lot of that was just knowing what I needed to improve on, but also not kicking rocks, not throwing stones, not saying, it's because of politics or anything like that. No, I needed to get better and I had to buy in.
We've had a few boys literally in the academy that were in summer squads and recently in the last week or two, they got cut.
Yep.
And it's interesting seeing the reactions of some, and everyone will do that.
It hits everyone differently.
Look, I've said this so many times, things happen. It's not objectively bad. You get to decide what it means. Either you can decide that it means, okay, I wasn't good enough, I've got feedback, I can go away and I can work on these things. Yep. Or you can say, it's because of nepotism or it's because of favoritism and you know what, those things may play into it. But at the end of the day, if you were better, you will overcome those particular things. 100%. You've just got to get better. I've put a ton of content. We've got heaps of videos that are up that Joe knows, clips that talk about this. If you didn't make a side, generally speaking, you weren't good enough. You've got to get better. And but he was good enough because my son's as good as this player and this player and this player. Okay, well maybe if he wasn't just as good as them, maybe if he was 10 or 15% better, then the coach, we can't overlook him. He's clearly in the side. And then it becomes between those other players. Yep. So that's what your goal needs to be, is to go and to get better. Like Cal said, the best thing that you can do is ask, what do I need to work on? Well, your Bronco was 550 and we needed it at 520. That's easy to fix. Your footwork, okay, or your defensive or whatever it is, running shape in attack, or your ball handling. You drop too many balls. You go away and you work on it and you come back next year. Yep. Bigger, stronger, more skillful player. Something I would say on the skill side, and I know this because, at the moment there's a lot of messages. I'm answering probably 70, 80, 90 DMs on Instagram a day from people, and a lot of them are saying, how can I improve my spiral pass? Okay, it's like, and then I'll ask the question, well, how often are you practicing it? I do 20 minutes once a week, and it's like
you don't get better doing that.
It's like you're not going to do 20 minutes, do 20 to 30 minutes 7 days a week, and then the skill, and you know what, the skill that initial improvement in 3 or 4 weeks, you'll double how accurate your passes are. And then a month or two after that, you'll be able to run and you'll be able to put the ball where you want to put it, but you got to put the reps in. And so that's what I would say is, if you were good enough to get into a squad, you obviously have some footballing ability.
Yep.
If you work your backside off over the next 12 months, you'll walk in.
100%.
Ask for feedback, find out those areas, get those physical norms to where they need to be or a little bit beyond if you can, and then hammer your skills and hammer them daily.
And that's the thing as well. If you go away and 12 months from now you're in the same position, not getting cut, trials roll around September, October this year, and they can see that you've put the work in. It'll be very clear to see because your passing will be better. Anything that you needed to work on will be better if you've worked on it.
Yep.
But if you get down to, again, trial time this year and you haven't worked on anything, that'll stand out just as much. So you need to pick your path, and you need to pick it and go full steam ahead with it.
Yeah, that's the worst thing is we get messages 3 weeks before the Cyril Cup, Mal Meninga, Harold Matts SG Ball trials. Oh, I'm trialing for Harold Matts in 3 weeks. What tips can you give me?
Yep.
And it's like, well, the tip was to start 12 months ago and to train oftentimes twice a day, 5-6 days a week. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to make, because you just have to be better.
Yeah.
And no one's going to miraculously get better 10 days out from when the trial is. Mm-hmm. There's things that you can do in a trial to try and stand out, but if you haven't got the goods, you haven't got the goods. Yep. You're better off being ready for an opportunity and not having it than the opportunity coming up and you're not being ready. There's been a lot of messages, people, I really should have kept training the last 6 months, but I got cut and it's only 2 months until the trials, what can I do? And it makes it challenging. So for you've got plenty of time until September, October this year.
Yep.
I would say go to work.
Buy in now,
100%.
Yep.
And that's us for today.
Yeah.
What do you got to tell everyone to do?
So please like the video, subscribe, turn the notification bell on. Tune in next time for a Joe Knows or a Run It Straight. We'll be posting them pretty frequently.
Follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. You've got a Twitter. Follow Joe on Twitter. Any questions? And any questions, send them in. Like we've said, there's actually some good detail on this today, but give us a little bit more. Like that fella, tell us what position you play. Yep. The other one, give us your height. So give us your age, your height, your weight, and the position that you play. Those 4 really allow us to sort of knuckle down and give you some really specific advice. Yep. Other than that, thank you very much, and we will see you in the next one.